What's up? I told you I'd be on here today to do this 101 lesson on herbs. And we'll go through some basics. I'll wait a few minutes for people to show up because I'm doing this live, but I'm going to wait too long. Um, we'll do some basics of what's going on with each herb. We're not going to go into each herb. We're going to talk about what herbs do, what effects they have. And we'll also get into um, let's see, which chapters do I want to dig into here? Because I'm not going to do it in the order here because I don't think it all needs to be read. We'll get into solvents a little bit and how to make extractions and tinctures. And I think those are the two most important things. What do they do, and how to get the medicine out, and what it's doing. So I'll give this a few minutes, see what shows up here. I probably won't do too much interaction. Maybe at the end of this I might. But then I'm going to do, I think, 2 more videos today. What up, Kia? Um, but the other 2 I'll do. I wanted, funny, I woke up and I just felt the inkling to do another video on cancer. And just so happens that allegedly Dave had just done a video on cancer this morning. And I mean, I don't know that he did it this morning, but he posted it. And all of the comments were basically there's some whining kid in the background, so you couldn't hear anything he had to say. So it's like, well, I'll redo it from what I know of it and what it is, and very interesting sync up that way. And I also said I would do a specific on one herb, and the herb that I'm using today is dandelion. We'll get into that, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to do an overview, and then I'm going to do another one possibly tonight in cancer, even though I've already made, I don't know, 3 or 4 videos on that. Who else is up in here? Kia up in here. Hey Kia, did you bake me a pie? Did you bake me a pie yet? What kind of pie did you bake me, Kia? So I don't know if you guys what's up, Zeb? I don't know if y'all gonna get to see my silly face because I gotta put this down so I can read out of this book. I mean, I could give you an overview without, but I'd rather just read right out of the book. Oh, okay, Kia. Hold on a second. Let me blush on my own over here. Let me. You want me to eat of the apple, huh? You want me to eat of the apple? I prefer, Kia. I prefer peaches. I want some juicy Georgia peaches. Although I guess I could work with that eating up the apple. But I thought that was more. I thought that was a little more Eve's responsibility. But hey, I whatever you got, I'm sure it will be delicious. You gonna have a peach tonight? Okay. Hold on one second, y'all. Let me get this. Let me get to a page in this book, and I will. For whoever didn't show up at the beginning, what I said is I'm gonna do a quick overview of 2 ideas here. One, basically what the extraction method is for herbs to get the medicinal qualities out of it, and the 40 different actions that occur from the herbs. And most of these things, it's going to sound like a lot, but most of them you don't really need to know. There's some things here that just you're not going to really need to know too often. There's going to be 10 major things that you really need to know. So we'll get into this in a second. Hold on, y'all. Watch them ceiling fans for a second. Yeah. So here we are. Like I said, I'm not gonna do this through the way the here. Maybe I can set it up this way. You can still. There we go. And this is from. I'll give you the book too if anybody's interested. It's the Herbal Medicine Maker's Handbook by James Green, and this is as far as I know, one of the Bibles, of herbal medicine. Let me change my screen here. Hold on one second, y'all. As you know, we just do this off of the cuff here. So there we go. What's up, Andrew? Okay. Here we go. And Kia, but this pie thing, I mean, you know, Buffalo's a long way. You trying to get me to come up to the cold weather. Come down where it's warm. It's like 80. It's like 88 out today. It's lovely. Okay, here we go, y'all. Here's the 40 different actions. If you want to take notes, go for it. But it might be easier to just look up. I can't wait for that delivery. If y'all want to, you could probably look up on. You could probably just go to Google and go to image search, and you might be able to find this exact page. And I'll just read through what they are, and it's a pretty quick run through. An adaptogen. You can pretty much figure that out for yourself, but I'll read what's going on here. An action concept unique to herbal therapeutics. Adaptogenic or hormonal modulating action increases the body's resistance and endurance to a wide variety of adverse influences, from physical, chemical, and biological stressors, assisting the body's ability to cope and adapt. So an adaptogen is a very important idea to know in herbs. What herbs are adaptogenic? Here you go. Alterative gradually restores health and vitality to the body by helping assimilate nutrients, eliminate waste, and restore proper function. Alterative, that's the word. Anodyne and analgesic. It relieves pain when administered orally or externally. Antacid obviously neutralizes acid. Antitaurol. So if I say some of these wrong, I do apologize. Anticatarrhal, is that right? Anticatarrhal counteracts the buildup of excess mucus and inflammation in sinuses and upper respiratory parts. And as most people know, mucus is a big cause of dis-ease in the body. Basically because it's not allowing flow of energy and flow of blood to go somewhere. So that's an important idea. Antidepressant. I think that's easy enough to figure out. Antiemetic. Relieves nausea and vomiting. Anti-inflammatory. Another important one that's going to be in a lot of different herbs. Combats excessive or too painful occurrences of inflammation. Inflammation is one of the biggest things that goes on in the body for most people. I mean, and sometimes it's happening internally. So that's a very important thing to know. Anti-inflammatories. And I'm going to add to this. There's going to be some things I'm going to read through, probably today, that I disagree with. And I'll try to point those things out. And this is a good point. This is a good place to explain something, that the use of ice is it's not a good idea. If it's a good idea to reduce pain and swelling, but that swelling is what's bringing the healing to the location. So what ice does is it slows down the healing process in every way. That must be understood. This is the one of the biggest myths going in sports industry, sports medicine, and medicine. And you know, if we know what the business is, it's to keep you coming back and paying money and they're going to do it the wrong way. So there's been no studies ever done. There's a book called something of the Ice Age, getting rid of the Ice Age or something, and it's somebody's along with one of my favorites, Kelly Starrett, who reps this book, that was basically just saying that you can use ice for, you know, and you're going to get some benefit of that pain relief, but there's other ways to do it. You should actually be using herbs for the pain relief, because a lot of things that you believe you should be putting ice on, you should be putting heat on, because heat's going to expand and allow more blood to get to the place to speed up the healing process. Now, is it going to feel the healing pains? Yeah, that will come into effect. So that should be understood about ice. There is a good use for cold and hot showers back and forth and healing and getting things out of the system, but as a general rule, ice is not a great idea. Antimicrobial or antibacterial and antiviral, helps the body's immune system to destroy or resist pathogenic microorganisms. Antioxidants, and here's another place that I'll just jump in after. Protects the body against free radicals, and free radicals are highly reactive compounds that bind and destroy other molecules. Not all oxidation is bad. In fact, you just think about it. If you breathe, you're bringing oxygen in, and so it oxidates things. There's a lot of things in the body that need to be oxidized. Most people are very unhealthy, and the release of the oxidized buildup of inorganic compounds in the body will result in people, you won't look good. You might have an inflammation because it's your body trying to get rid of something. But as far as antioxidants, it's not a great idea. You wouldn't use antioxidants until you're quite healthy. So like green teas and things along those lines, you're going to want to use after you oxidize. I mean, think about it. Breathing is oxidation. If I add hydrogen peroxide, that's a lot of oxygen. If you go into oxygen therapy, you're oxidating the blood. If you hyperventilate, if you get into Wim Hof method, you're increasing the amount of oxygen. Therefore, you're burning things off in the body that literally need to be burnt off, and you're speeding up and increasing energy, but you're also getting rid of things the body doesn't need. So that needs to be understood. Antiseptic prevents or eliminates sepsis, meaning infectious, destructive condition of tissue. Antispasmodic prevents or eases spasms or cramps. Aperient, a gentle stimulant to digestion, having a very mild laxative action. Like, there's a word that you're probably not going to come across too often in looking at herbs. Aperient. Aphrodisiac, increases sexual excitement and libido and desire. That should be well known. That's just a lot of that is really just increasing blood flow to certain parts of the body. Yeah, aphrodisiacs. Antistringent, or and how do you say it? Astringent, excuse me. Astringent contracts, firms, and strengthens bodily tissues by precipitating proteins and can reduce excessive secretions and discharge. So astringents you can think of like witch hazel is a good one. It firms and helps the skin, and it's something that's been used for a very long time, but nobody really pays attention to anymore. But witch hazel is a great idea, especially when it's instead of being mixed with an alcohol, because that will tend to dry the skin out. I mean, some people need the alcohol because they have oily skin, but some people you'd probably want to find a witch hazel mixed with like coconut water. That's a really good witch hazel. Bitters or bitter stimulates the normal secretion of digestive juices, benefiting digestion. This stimulating action helps counteract physical and, to a certain extent, emotional depression. Bitters are always, when you look into people's dietary habits, they're highly, you find things that are the bitters that you put in cocktails and things. They're and digestives. You have things that you want to have before the meal, and you have things that you want after the meal, but they tend to have bitter elements in it, which help bile flow. And bile, a lot of people have really, like, their bile flow sucks out of there because they're clogged up. A lot of people need to do all of the work prior to, by having a lot of different bitters used up the rectum, to clean out the organs, doing coffee enemas and things before you have good bile, because a lot of people are going to have really dark black bile. There's basically the four humors of bile, and most people's bile is not going to be very healthy to be being released. You just want one release to get it out of the system. But bitters, all in all, is a good idea. Anything bitter, the bitter, the better the medicine. That's kind of the idea. The better it is, the better it is. The more you find things that are bitter, there's more alkaloids, so you can find a lot of psychoactive things and things that are good for digestion in the bitter realms. So that's something, if you don't like bitter, you should learn to like bitter. That's why they say a little bit of sugar helps the medicine go down. So you cover the bitter thing with the sugar, and usually it'd be a honey or something. Carminative, rich in aromatic volatile oils, having a sweet, spicy, or fragrant aroma, which can lead to a pleasant flavor to other herbs, excite peristalsis, and promote the expulsion of gas and soothe the stomach, supporting healthy digestion. Got a few more here. Okay. A chalagogue, there you go, promotes the discharge and flow of bile from the gallbladder. I've never seen that word attached to any specific herb before, but there are a lot of herbs, and a lot because I've dealt more with not specifically using herbs in the diet, but using herbs as just strictly for the use of cleansing and elimination. But that's as we are just talking about bile flow, and most people's gallbladders and are fucked up. Counter irritant, a revulsive. Induces local irritation of skin, drawing blood and other materials to the surface for deeper tissues, relieving congestion and inflammation. A revulsive, interestingly, it seems like it would be akin to doing cupping or using like a, what's the tool called? A gua sha tool. And so that induces local irritation, drawing blood to the surface. Yeah. And that'll help clean deeper tissues. Demulcent, mucilaginous herbs which relax, soothe, and protect tissue. So people that have a dry system, like you can look at it in just the four simple ways. You have wet, dry, hot, and cold. Those are the simple ways that people viewed things, and it really covers your bases. That if you find somebody that's dry and hot, you need to find something wet and cold for them to balance out their system. So in this sense, something that's mucinogenic or mucilaginous to have mucilage in it is wet, and it will tend to be cold. So those wet and cold would be people that have a hot, irritated, temperate, like they're very hot blooded. They need things to protect them that way, and also oils are helpful too there. Derivative, draws blood and other fluids from one part of the body to relieve congestion in another. These things, that something simple like that beyond just herbs is massage. Diaphoretic, increases perspiration, dilates capillaries, increases elimination through the skin. That's something you're not going to find too often again, but it's because it's so much connected to things that gets people's heart rate up too much. And most people have so much clogs in their lymph system, it can hurt people. You can do a lot of harm to people by giving them too much, by giving them too much of a diaphoretic, or other things that increase the heat in the body. And there's a lot of things that are connected to that are basically for male libido, that are connected to herbs that do that. And this is why where's the ends of the body, you'll get hot feet, hot genitals, hot hands, you go to the head, sweat. But it can be very bad for people because of how clogged their system is to begin with. There'd be a lot easier ways to stimulate an erection in a man, or to do other things to clean the body, and the easiest is massage. Because you want to physically move things around the body so you can relieve stagnation in joints and allow blood flow to different parts of the body. So where are we at here? Diuretic, increases the flow of urine. There's a lot of things that are diuretic, and those are very important. Emmenagogue, increases menstrual flow. You're not going to find that too often, and I have plenty of information out there on why I think women should have less of a menstrual flow to begin with. But if you do have a heavy flow and it lasts a long time, it's because you're probably very unhealthy, and your body is trying to get rid of that. I'm one to believe I don't think women should have a period for more than a day, if at all. I think there's something more going on there. I'm not going to get into it too deep here because I have videos on it. If you want to go check those out, it's Menstruation and Salty Moods. I think that's the name of it. Emollient, it's applied to the skin to soothe and protect. That's like your average oils and honey, like these kind of wax and things like this. Expectorant, it supports the respiratory system by assisting to remove excess mucus. Now, you could look at this as in the use of tobacco is that. People that are hawking shit up. Well, that's not because the tobacco is bad for them, but because it's hot and dry, and people have a lot of mucus, and they want to remove it. But what we have now is a bunch of people consuming tobacco laced with chemicals. That is, that's obviously the problem. Febrifuge assists the body to reduce fever. Galactagogue increases the flow of the mother's milk. Another word you're not going to find too often. Hemostatic arrests bleeding. Hepatic, it strengthens and tones the liver, stimulating the secretory function. So this is like whenever you do a coffee enema, it goes up the hepatic valve, and it goes up into the liver and the gallbladder to release those. And this is why doing a coffee enema, it doesn't really, you don't ingest into the system the amount of caffeine you would by drinking it, because it's going, it's not getting into the blood that way, and so it's actually used to release your hepatic valve, to go through the hepatic valve and release the discharge of bile and things to, help the liver. Hypnotic has a powerful relaxant and sedative action and helps induce sleep. Hypnotics are great, but they're hard to come by. You'd have to do some research on that, because most of those are, you have to go to Dr. Man with the suit and tie on to give you things that are hypnotics. They don't want you just to get your own hypnotics, which would be poppy seeds, and things that are relaxing. I mean, think of even the good constituents of marijuana and all these. They're all relaxants. They calm people down properly. Hypotensive reduces elevated blood pressure. Immune stimulant, easy enough. Laxative helps to evacuate the bowels, not the balls. So a laxative and a diuretic are similar. I guess people just change oh, that's going to give you diarrhea, so it's a diuretic. But the diuretic is coming because the diarrhea is coming because you're increasing the amount of blood flow and urine that's going to help clean the back out. It doesn't come out the front. But a laxative and a diuretic tend to have a very similar idea for most people. Lymphatic, lymph system. Nervine affects the nervous system. Relaxing, stimulating, tonic, depending on the herb used. Refrigerant, cooling agents, which lower the body temperature and relieve thirst. That's another one you're probably not going to find the name of associated with too many herbs. Rubefacient. It generates a localized increase in blood flow and applied to the skin, often used to warm the skin and ease the pain of swelling of the joints. Another word you're not going to find too often. Sedative. Calms the nervous system, reduces stress and nervous irritation throughout the body. That's another thing, as we were talking about. Hypnotics and sedatives you're going to have a harder time finding. They tend to be more illegal, and it's harder to because they're the most relaxing and helpful to most people's system, because we live in a high stress society. So if they put you in a high stress society, then they want to sell you the what's going to fix that. And those are the things. Sialagogue promotes the flow of saliva. I've never heard of that. Stimulant obviously warms the body. There's a lot of stimulants that we get everywhere. So there's a lot of people that are hot, like warm, hot-blooded people. There's stimulants everywhere we look. Stomachic stimulates the tonic in the stomach. Another word you're not going to find too often. Styptic reduces or stops external bleeding by an astringent action. Tonics stimulates nutrition by improving assimilation. These tonics are mainly what we're going to be talking about in the future. Vasodilators expand blood vessels, increased circulation. This is another good word, because there's a lot of things that will help you strengthen the body and clean the body by expanding the blood vessels, which is obviously the opposite of using ice. And if you really think about it, if you live in a climate that, think about it in the history of the world, where was anybody getting ice? If you lived in the normal climates, you could only find ice during the winter, and you'd have to be above. Where I live now, I'm not going to see ice. So how would I get that? It wouldn't happen. The idea of ice and where it came from is actually, what century did they design a refrigerator, right? When did this come around? So what were people doing prior to that when they were injured? They weren't putting ice on it. They were dealing with herbs to fix things. And the last word is vulnerary, assist the body to heal wounds. So there you go. There's the 40 actions to know. A lot of those you're not going to find too often or really need, but there's some major ones in there. And as I said, I'm going to also give you one more section here, which is, maybe I'll save it for another, how long are we in here? 25 minutes in? Let me do this. So I'll make it easier for people. I'll do another video specifically on the infusions as well as solvents and what's going on with how you extract the medicine. And it's pretty simple. I've gone over them before, but I'll go deeper into it in the future, probably later today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I don't know. It's kind of a long section, but it's basically water, alcohol, wine, vinegar, glycerin, oil. You know, I mean, this is the standards. And glycerin is really, I don't like the idea of glycerin because yeah, there's some dilemmas using glycerin. And then maybe I'll get into the principal constituents of plants, like the alkaloids and the flavonoids and the camphors and essential oils and bitter compounds and enzymes and proteins and the resins and starches and sugars. And I think I'll do this. I'll do it 3 different chapters so that way people can find the information a little easier. And I will, I guess, if you guys are on here and have any questions about what I just did, cover or any, you know, as we always turn this into something fucking bizarre. Let me see. Let's see what you had to say. Dimension extensions. Well, there you go. That's the when you're expelling things, and so you've had a runny nose. It loosened up shit that was probably clogged in your sinuses. What's up, Lumino? Andrew Love is dry and cold, so you want wet and hot, huh? Which would be, what is wet and hot? Alcohol, for the most part. I mean, it's called the, what's the proper name for it? Fire water, wet and hot. So if it's hot, you know, this is why you come in from like a cold, dry environment. Hey, there's the fireplace. Here, have a shot of brandy, etc., etc. It's help, you know, because if you're out in the cold, your blood vessels get very, you know, tight, and you come inside, you want to expand those so you can relax the tension, because it just depends on where you live, how you use those things. Yeah. Who else in here? Any questions, or should I just call this a show and then come back later? Because I think I want to go out into the public arena to do this. I would rather be outside. I just didn't want to go out at the hour that I did because it was a little bit overcast, but it seems to be much more sunny out right now. Because yesterday I went out and got stuck at a place because it was raining, and I didn't want that to happen again. So what's up? Anybody else? I'll leave it. I'll stay on here for 2 more minutes unless somebody has a question. I'll stay on a little longer, but. Andrew, I've covered that many times in my videos. Aged urine on the skull. Acupuncture is going to help. Cupping will help. Increase the amount. You've got to clean your body and then start using bamboo. A lot of silica-based things. And bamboo is going to be the highest level of silica. And your hair and toenails are silica. Massage, getting those pathways open, blood to get up here, and so that's how your hair is going to grow. There was somebody that had just, I don't know, called me like 2 weeks ago because I'd met them, I don't know, maybe a year ago, and they were younger, like 25 I think, and they were already having a problem with hair loss and thinning hair, and they called me and like, dude, everything you said, it's like my hair is like thick again, and they reversed it. And the easiest way is going to be start consuming your urine. You drink your piss. That's the easiest way to do it because your piss has your medicine and your stem cells in it. And um, I don't know. Allegedly, Dave was not somebody else that did it. He fasted and started using his urine, and his hair started growing back and started going from gray to black. And so, yeah, there's a lot of ways to reverse that. The last one, what did I? To help heal wounds, the word you were looking for? It's hold on one second. Let me find it for you. Here you go. The word is vulnerary. Another word, if you can find any, look up the word herb maybe and vulnerary herbs. Yeah. The action is used externally. It's a vulnerary to be used externally. So it'd be an herb that you would use on a compress or something. And I guess something you'd call a vulnerary would be something like, oh, I don't know, turmeric is something that's definitely good to heal the wounds externally as well as internally. And Andrew, the word cure is a very interesting one. I've done I've done word crafting and showing people what it means. I mean, it's interesting that somebody would call it a cure when curing something is what happens when you dry meat out or something. So I don't even like the word cure because cure has everything to do with salts, and salts, as everyone should very much be aware of at this point, salts are poison. If they're inorganic compounds of salt, meaning there is no carbon binding or bond to it, then it is inorganic. Therefore, it is recognized as a poison to the body, and the body wants to eliminate it, um, including like all of these sea salts and everything else. They're poison, and that's as easy as you can say it. There's no, I mean, and if you don't want to call it poison, just call it you know, it's an obstruction to the body. And the confusion is there's salts that are living and salts that are dead. If they just changed the name, it would make it easier. But people don't know. People are like, oh, you need salt. No, you need living energy and enzymes and salts and minerals and things from plant life. So, yeah, yeah, dimension. Yeah, turmeric's going to be good for that for sure. It's going to do a lot of work on helping. Well, let's see, boils for the foot. Yeah, I can see turmeric being helpful for that. So, did you ask me the other day about boils and things? Is that you? Because I did a whole thing. I did a bunch on explaining that. Somebody was asking to use apple cider vinegar. That's a bad idea. I would not do that. Oh, Andrew, you asked me about Wilson's. Yeah, that's funny. Somebody had sent me a bunch of information on that. Yeah, copper toxicity. I'll say the same thing I said to you last time. As I lean into it more and research it more, I'm my initial idea and assessment is the copper is not the thing poisoning you. It's the what you told me was the doctors were giving you to fix that. Because as far as we can look through ancient times and the historical use of copper in the body and what copper does as to help generate energy and electrical charge in the body, um, especially considering if you look into Ayurveda, they use copper bowls to eat their food out of because they put gold on their food. This is so these kind of things. I can't. Copper isn't toxic. What's toxic is you told me you were being told that you needed to consume what was it? Um, the thing that they grow on oranges. Uh, that somehow that would get rid of the toxic. effects of copper, and in no way does that make any sense at all. Because if you really wanted to get rid of any metal, including copper, if it is somehow causing a dilemma, if copper is the way to get rid of any kind of metal, heavy metals would be chelation through use of, you would use green herbs, you'd use something like a cilantro, you'd use a ton of cilantro or green smoothies, things like this, because they're going to be able to bond to and pull things out of the body that shouldn't be there. So if you do have if your body is toxic full of copper, and then your body's smarter than you are, and it's definitely smarter than the doctors are, you'd consume the things and it would grab on and pull those out of the body and you would get rid of it. But if you tend to still be diseased, when did you eat all the copper? Where did it come from? It seems to be the use of the toxic poison, which comes off of the orange peel, right? Using that to kill something in the body one time is maybe a brilliant idea, but to continually use it and think that's going to bind with or get rid of copper doesn't make any sense anywhere in any literature, unless of course it's somebody trying to sell something. So that's just my 2 cents on it, and I'll go farther with it, Andrew. But the more that I've, even my general instinct was initially what I told you, and what I've read further doesn't really change the. And again, as I said, I don't know what your diet has been. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what you've eaten your whole life. I don't know how long you've been taking whatever kind of medicines. I don't. So all of those things go into it as well. Truth. I've done that many times. Um, yeah, I'll give it to you right here. It's simple. You want to clean your bowels out first, then you want to clean out your liver and your gallbladder, then finally your kidneys. And then your kidneys are going to be helping to keep all of your blood clean. So I've done the video, I don't know how many times, and you'd have to go back to my early work, and I don't know what it'd be called. I'll do another one, I guess, man, and I'll just call it, because it's pretty basic, but it's simple. You just clean out your colon with um, two types of two types of fiber. So you're going to use insoluble and soluble fiber, and maybe a little bit of bentonite and clay to help remove the garbage in your colon and your intestines, removing all of that out, and then go ahead and do some things to release all of the bile from the the liver and the gallbladder, which is either going to be doing something like an oil and acid, an acid such as lemon juice, grapefruit juice, lime juice. I even think there's some you can use Coca-Cola to do this, which, hey, if you want to look that up, but you'd use equal parts oil with one of these acids, usually grapefruit juice, and that's before bed, and that will help to push your bile out and start to remove all the toxins from your liver and your gallbladder. Or I would just go the route of doing coffee enemas, which is going to it's going to be doing that more readily and quicker. Then finally, you'll do a bunch of different herbs that will help to remove and assist the cleansing of the kidneys. And then you'll do things that will assist the blood in staying clean. Urine is always helpful for all of this. Hydrogen peroxide included in your water is going to be helpful as well. And obviously distilled water is the way to go. And hey, Jonaman, go for it. Do one. See what it does, dude. It couldn't be bad, especially if you're using raw milk, or if you're using almond milk or something that you've made at home yourself. Because everything in there is a very medicinal herb. So turmeric in an oil enema is a great idea, and considering golden milk uses a fat or a fat that's in milk, or you can use oil or butter. Those things are going to help bind with the turmeric and everything to do a number of cleaning in your system. Jonaman, I've heard of people doing them. I think you just have to do it at the right time. I don't think I'd go back and forth doing something as an herb enema and then do something that's very high in kombucha is going to be vinegary, right? So the pH is going to be different. So, and plus there's kind of different types of living things. I think a kombucha enema is good to try out and see what it does. It might help cleanse you. It might help clean you right the fuck out. So there's that cleaning out, and then there's the addition of herbs that are going to be healing and bring energy to things and information. So they have two different purposes. Hit me up on my email, Andrew. It's beneath it's beneath most of my videos. Go back about a month and look there. I just tend to not. It'll be beneath all of my videos, but sometimes I just, when I tell people, like, it just gives people a little more incentive to go look through some of my other work, and I don't like just to just give it out anymore because I've had too many like idiots contact me. I'm just rather, like, if you're gonna if you got the energy to go find another of my videos, then maybe you're really, you're really interested. You know what I'm saying? But it's pretty simple. You can find it. It's not hard to find. Just look in the description box of most of my videos, because I can't put I can't adjust the description when I'm doing a live video, and I can't adjust the tags when I'm doing a live video because I'm doing it from an Android, so it's different than doing it from a computer. So I don't have the full access to even people coming to these videos. I can't even set it up where I can have these tagged where I can have the right people show up. So, oh well. It makes it a little more exclusive. Kefir is good too. Yeah. Anything that's, goes back to any kind of living food. Beer, living beer. Yogurt's living. Honey's living. Kombucha's living. Sauerkraut, kimchi, all of these kind of things. Ferments. Anything fermented is going to be extremely helpful for assisting the body in eliminating things that are not needed. Kefir is just a fun way to say watered down yogurt, huh? Do some mango lassis. So yeah, I got a couple more minutes here, guys. Jonaman, we'll do that another time. I've gotten into all those things, but I'd rather just keep this talk to things to deal with health rather than magic and manifestation and things right now. There's plenty of those videos, man. I think I would just go to go to my early works from like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and look up anything on magic, anything on manifestation, anything on sigil work, anything like there's plenty of interesting things in there. So check it out, y'all. I'm gonna get off of here because I'm gonna go shower and get my day on the road and get these other videos going for you guys, including maybe the second part to that book, and probably a thing on herbs on an herb, because I said I'll do an herb a day, and then maybe I'll do the video on cancer again, even though it's already been done. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll talk soon. Have a lovely day.